And greetings from Storybrooke. This is the land where you might want to think twice about when receiving a candygram. We also talk about ABC's hit series, Once Upon a Time. How are you guys doing this week? Tony, what's going on?
Tired. I am so tired and worn out from today's festivities.
Oh,
well, hey, you were partying.
No.
Oh, not that kind of festivities.
Not that type of festivities. I've been working all week and had 2 services at church today back to back. Oh my God. It hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. And Monica, how you doing this week?
Good. Yeah.
Nothing new. There's nothing usually new for you. Just living and loving life. And how about you? Well, go ahead.
I'm being considered for promotion at work. So yeah.
Well, congratulations, and I hope all goes well with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congrats.
And of course, Elizabeth, how are you doing this week?
Hello. I'm okay.
All right. Sounds like everyone's ready to get right into this week's episode of Greetings from Storybrooke, which was a Hook Nook centric episode, whatever you want to call him. I think we've decided we're going to call him Nook from here on out, right?
Yes, this was Nook's centric.
Actually, I thought it was pretty good. What were you saying, Tony?
Oh no, this is Nook's centric episode.
Right,
There's the difference. Nook. This is Nook's centric episode.
Yeah, thank you for helping us get that straight. But in the meantime, before we actually get into the nitty gritty of this week's episode, let's Monica, I believe you wrote this week's rhyming summary.
Yep. We see the calm before the storm. Of Nook's broken promise, the witch will inform. Lucy misses her dad, but how to make Mom understand? To find a killer, we must follow a heart. Alice wants to be heard, but what is her part? Nook searches for the oddball in this week's episode, Knightfall.
Knightfall. Clever name for, with the whole chess pieces, I believe they set that up in the beginning of the season. And I'm glad we got, I mean, we knew it was coming, but I'm glad we got this episode, where we learn a bit more about this Alice and this Hook's backstory. And I definitely feel like just through different things that transpired during this episode that we still haven't reached the point where the writers really knew that this was the end, because I feel like they were still setting things up in this episode that that they would hope would play out over more time than this is what, the 13th episode now?
Yes.
12.
No, 13.
No, 13.
Okay, yep, you're right.
Okay, right.
Lucky number 13.
Right, so like we probably only got another 10
14, 15,
episodes.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 9.
Is it only 22 episodes this year?
I believe so.
I think it has always been 22 episodes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Some shows have 24, so I couldn't remember,
And some only 23.
Right,
Some only 13 or 12.
Well, yeah, now in today's television landscape, that's true. But back in the day, even when I was growing up, there were some shows, like I think The Next Generation had a season that had like close to 30 episodes.
Sometimes 50.
Yeah. Well, especially if you start talking about shows like Transformers and animated shows.
All
and
right,
whatnot.
circle back to one. Circle back to one.
Sorry, tangent. Thank you, Elizabeth, for keeping us up.
You're welcome. Can Can I just say, in regards to what you were talking about, I feel like this season, the writers and the creators of the show were very hopeful at the beginning. I mean, I remember reading articles of Eddie and Adam saying this show could go on for a couple more years. So, and now it's ending. So I understand. I mean, I don't know at what point in the, in the recording of the shows. Oh, we lost Bobby.
No.
Bobby's gone again. Okay, so this is a repeat of last week.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm just going to continue with my sentence. I don't know at what point, while they were recording the show, that they realized it was being canceled, but I get what Bobby's saying is it's going to be, at some point, there'll be an obvious transition. Oh, yay, Bobby's back. That was a quick exit.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that, guys.
Your video's not there, but
my video's not there yet.
I see him.
Yeah, video. Your lower third isn't, but the rest of you is.
Yeah, I'm fixing that up right now. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully, it won't be a lot of hiccups like there was the other night. So let's just go ahead and get this all out of the way. Yeah, I don't know what I know what you were saying there. I believe before I got cut off, you're talking about how they had hopes for the season, and I do agree that it did definitely seem like they had hopes. And like I said before, and not to beat a dead horse, but I do feel like I wish that they had given at least a 2-season commitment to the reboot. But I feel like there was maybe some changes, executive changes at the network, or maybe something that led them to no longer be as behind the show as maybe former executives once were. It's hard to say, us not being there, but I don't know. Like I said, I was just starting to get invested in the story, and like I said, I feel like we still haven't really hit the point where they know they're reaching for the end yet. So I feel like I feel like they're still in the middle of setting things up as far as the story is concerned, unfortunately. But hopefully they'll be able to tie everything up and bring in, there's been more and more news about, people maybe coming back and whatnot. And so that's always exciting to see familiar faces that we've all loved, known and loved over the past.
I'm betting if they tried, if they had it on, a different day, maybe, it'll give it some oomph back, with putting it on Fridays, kind of,
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's what everyone said. I mean, yeah, they do say that in today's landscape that, day and date don't even matter anymore, but it still does. There are still people that, watch live, and unfortunately that's how the advertisers still, break down everything. So
they really need to update that shit. Right.
Yeah. No,
you are so right.
But
they really need to update. I mean, Hulu counts, and recording shows should count. I know it counts, but it doesn't count as original airing. They really need to update their system. Yeah,
and slowly but surely that will be. I mean, we're definitely in a big transition period as far as that's concerned. But again, we're driving off into another tangent. Let's take this roundabout, third circle back. All right, we're good. All right.
What is it, baseball?
No, the round. Don't you have like roundabouts or the traffic circles or whatever where you're from?
As opposed to just playing in two sections.
Yeah, like we don't have roundabouts here where I am, but definitely that like the next state over is like crazy.
Yeah, there's one road in our local, in my county that's like just like nothing but roundabouts, and they're talking about wanting to put them everywhere, and I hate roundabouts. Yeah, I know. I tried to segue from a tangent, and I segued us into a tangent. So
no, it's not. It's talking about
All right, let's
Can't.
get back on course. All right. Everyone ready? All right.
Don't bring up Buffy.
No, that's later.
Oh no, we must bring up Buffy.
Okay.
We must.
Nook praises young Alice's painting, but the scene just makes her long for the world outside the tower. He shows her a box full of mementos he's gathered from the outside world from the outside world. Ugh. When they hug, Nook is instantly stricken. It's shown to be Gothel who throws him from the tower when suddenly Alice wakes. It was all a dream, but also real. She tells her father something is wrong. Nook decides to do what has to be done to get her out of the tower. They give each other chess pieces as keepsakes, and when Nook completes his quest, the board will be whole again. At Seattle PD, Rogers goes over his notes when Tilly comes by to play a game, but he has other things to worry about. Weaver tells him they've updated the security on their blind baker in hopes of rooting out the killer, but ultimately they have to find Eloise to really get to the bottom of whatever's going on. With that, Eloise enters the room and dramatic music ensues. Across town, Henry is just ending a late-night Swift shit when he runs into Ronnie taking the walk of shame. She tries to make excuses, but ultimately fesses up to catching up with an old boyfriend. Henry tells her about the awkward game night at Jacinda's, and she offers a shoulder to cry on. Back at the precinct, Eloise begins to offer up what she says she knows about this coven. When Weaver begins to question her, she resists and tells Roger that she will speak to him and him alone. Weaver wants the case solved as much as Rogers, but warns him not to let Eloise get in his head. I don't remember if I had too many points to make about this set of scenes. So while I'm looking back, Elizabeth, was there anything you wanted to add? I know you said you don't have a lot of notes for this episode.
Well, I didn't write anything down, but sometimes when I am listening to you recap the scenes, things enter my mind. So right now, I was thinking, gosh, that Eloise is such a witch. But that's putting a label on it. So
nice. Okay.
And then, so now we've seen what a walk of shame for Regina looks like. But
I wish it's pretty obvious what happened there. I wish we had been a little more clear, but I think it's rather obvious.
Well, but it's her son. She doesn't really want to tell him what she was doing, and I get that.
He doesn't know that yet.
Well, but she does. And that's really the point.
As if she knew.
I think if he knew, he'd be even more horrified. Like, Tony, Mom, no! Okay, anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. Tony, did you have anything to add?
I also thought that her walk of shame was definitely funny as well. Like, and to go back to the other part of her.
Tony, I'm not really hearing you. There's like this weird echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ever since the phone went off, I'm hearing weird.
Oh.
Ever since what?
I heard a phone ringtone go off, and now the sound was weird.
I don't know. I didn't hear the phone go off.
Put it up.
I just wanted to hear Tony clearly, and I couldn't.
Is everything all right?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry
about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So back to what I was saying though, but it's funny how she thought that she could, hide these walk of shames, for so long. It's funny how Henry never found out about her and Graham, but now when he's cursed, when he's actually cursed for the first time, it's like he's seeing his favorite barista, aka Mom, for the first time taking a walk of shame. But I'm thinking that this is very, very, very bad because Sandy, or aka Dr. Facilier, is definitely going to be a thorn in everybody's side once, Gothel or his intentions really play out, like. So with her shacking up with with an old fling, I think that it's going to definitely render some things to happen in the upcoming scenes. But and also I keep saying to myself, with the part where Hook was in with Eloise in the precinct. If he only knew what he knew, like what he did know back in the other realm about Eloise, he'll be singing a different tune, like something like "Revenge, revenge, revenge is gonna be mine." You know, you would be singing a whole different tune if you really knew Eloise. But just a few points.
All right, and Monica, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I thought casting did a wonderful job with young Alice.
I did
finding someone who really looked like Tilly. And of course, Gothel wants Rumpel out of the picture. I mean, on even the slightest chance he's awake, because he's
definitely
the only one who would be a threat to her.
I mean, I was thinking that maybe like by now somebody has to figure out besides Regina and Zelina, you know, for them being awake, somebody has had to figure out that Rumpel is awake by now.
She's probably suspicious if she hasn't really figured it out.
Who, Gothel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, she definitely knows. There's no. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Sorry. I honestly was thinking at the beginning of the episode where they're like just the beginning part where they're at the precinct, and Eloise comes in. I honestly was thinking the things that she was saying to Hook. I don't know if we're there yet. I'm sorry. I don't know. It made me think that Hook's gonna wake up this episode and he's gonna know what's going on. That's not what happened. But I was excited at the beginning, thinking that might happen, and then I was really disappointed. So okay, I'm done talking.
As far as we were just speaking to Gothel and Rumpel, don't we know that she knows that he's awake? Didn't they already have some sort of deal going on or something?
I don't remember.
No, that was between him and Belfry when he came and they had a talk, and then there was like, oh yeah, I know who you are, Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, and I know who you are,
Rapunzel.
So they knew that each other were awake, but I don't think Gothel has any idea as of yet. And if she is, she's just playing dumb right now.
I got you. Yeah, okay. I guess I was mistaken. You're right, though. It is Belfry, not. But yeah, I do feel like at the very least, it's like they. If she doesn't know, she has suspicions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Monica was saying.
Like Rumpel can not be dumb for so long.
All right, so in the other realm, Nook enters the Dark One's prison with a proposition. If he helps free Alice from her prison, Nook will help him escape from his. Rumpel tells him of a magical artifact that may help, but is in the hands of another captain. In the Heights, it's round 2 as Rogers enters the interrogation room alone to talk to Eloise, but she knows Weaver's not far away. Rogers tries to interview her, but she gives mostly cryptic answers about knowing oneself. She says if he wants answers, he will need to do one small favor. At Jacinda's, Lucy mopes over the storybook and the decision she had to make when her mom knocks and tries to cheer her up with some mac and cheese. Jacinda wants to know what's the deal with the whole hot-cold thing with Henry. Lucy says a lot has happened recently, and she just wants her mom to herself, and she doesn't want some guy to be in the way. Okay, so for starters, I love the other Rumpel. It was cool to get. I believe we saw a small glimpse of this character before in the beginning of the season. This is almost like other Rumpel, because this is not this. Okay, correct me if I'm
for years, Rumpel.
Right, and this is so this is not like this is not even the same character. This isn't Weaver. This isn't who turns into Weaver. No. This is, now where the part I am a slight tad confused on this is this Wish Realm or Other Realm?
Wish Realm.
This is Wish Realm still?
Yeah.
So when does?
Because the only time we saw this Rumpel, I think, was when it was the Wish Realm. No, but he was set free, wasn't he?
He was set free by Regina after they struck a deal. He told her where to go, all that, and she freed him. As far as I know,
But he was the one that had been locked up for so long, and he was all loopy. And
Right.
and this is the way that this Rumple appears.
And he talks about his connection with the captain. So like it should be this should be Wish Realm Rumple, because that's where this hook comes from, is the Wish Realm.
Yeah, because I definitely can't handle a third Rumple.
If that was the case, then okay. So if that was the case, then when was he freed by Regina? Because that had already happened. We don't know what type of time, it is in Wish Realm. I'm believing that Wish Realm is taking place at the exact same time as.
I agree. Yes. Wish Realm
our original, Enchanted Forest.
Wish Realm was wished into existence.
Yes.
So then, yes, I would say that it took place at just the same, took place at just the same time as the other one did, and then runs parallel to this.
Mm-hmm. And then I think Other Realm is its time all by itself. This is just.
I don't know. We've never really been
back
told.
to the future logic here.
Yeah, I don't think there is any kind of time dilation between the realm that we're talking about and this realm. I mean, I think that if there are realms that have a time dilation, they say it, and right. I don't think it's been said with this.
This one didn't say a long time ago or a few years ago,
Right. So I feel like for the most part the realms run in parallel to whatever time is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, like I said, unless they make note of it while being there. And I don't even remember where we were going with this line of conversation, to be honest with you.
I think
Which Rumple?
Yeah, Which Rumple.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, which WHICH is this? Yeah. But yeah, I don't. I mean, it has to be Wish Rumple. But then at that point, then like the tower is in the other realm, right?
True. But how?
Oh my God, my head.
But so if this was Wish Rumple, my question is, why would he get captured for a second time? Who would have captured him for a second time?
But he doesn't even seem like he ever was freed.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That impression.
It almost seems like they're crossing things over here without thinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Monica.
When we first see Wish Hook, he's a lot more gray than he is here.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is Wish Realm before.
Really?
Before what?
It's not gray to me.
Well,
is still locked up. Drunken Hook is still off in the future. Regina hasn't freed this Rumple yet.
Yeah, because Hook isn't old yet. Like he isn't old.
He's getting there. He's getting there. But probably when he lost his daughter, he went off the knocker.
But then they're saying that all of that happened. At the same time as, I don't know. I'm okay. I'm gonna stop. We can sit here forever trying to make sense of this.
Look, we need a timeline. You promised us a timeline. We're still waiting for it, but
that's never gonna happen at this point. There'll be fan timelines of people that try to make sense of it, but I don't think we'll ever get Princess Horowitz timeline at this point. It won't happen. But yeah, so I think we've determined that you're right, that looks like it took place before that, but that still brings up a whole nother set of issues to deal with. So we'll just move on from there.
I think we can agree though. Like I seriously like that that theory, Monica, about it being beforehand, because of course,
it's definitely yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. He wasn't big. He wasn't old,
right? But he had the streaks of gray in his hair. He was aging, and he was getting that little nudge of like, "Oh, you old pirate of you're no longer useful" type thing. Which kind of like between that and what happened with his daughter kind of led him to what the hook that we saw.
The Wish Hook that we saw. I definitely that makes much more sense.
He changed a lot.
He changed when he lost his daughter, and they became lost because if you remember at the tower in the episode, she's like, "Save me," and it looks like he never got to save her. So when he got older, and Yeah, and he let himself go.
Okay. It looks like we've mostly dealt with your topic as well, Tony. Your points here. Elizabeth, did you have anything to add before I move on?
No.
And then Monica, I'm sorry, I got lost there for a second. I'm looking at the screen and it says her name too, and I just like, is it the dark one? No, I'm sorry.
Monica's the dark one. What?
Yeah. Go ahead, Monica.
Nook going to the dark one. That is a dark, desperate move. I love how Rumple's all energy and oh yeah, deals, yeah,
almost very Gollum-ish, almost kind of just like yes, I remember. Oh, deals, I love deals. You know.
But the second Nook mentions this place drains his magic, he's all like, "Oh, yes." Oh.
He was so over the top, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I loved Carlisle's performance in that scene. Yeah, so
he hasn't been able to act like that in a long time. I think he must have enjoyed that. You could tell he enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much so. But like it's over the top, but it's just so right for that character, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you had something about Lucy.
Yeah, when her mom brings in the mac and cheese, I'm not 6 anymore. It's just so cute. Like, yeah, you're so old now. Lucy, the character, is really good actress. Just the way she was like, I wouldn't have expected her to be able to pull it off. I would have thought her mom would see right through it, but she was good.
At some point, she's out acting her mom, whatever the character's name or the actress's name is. Unfortunately,
Jacinda.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like father, like daughter. You're like, you guys remember when Henry used to act like that? Like,
well, I actually want to add to Monica's point. The end of that particular scene where Lucy is. Are we talking about Lucy? What she said to her mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she's like, "Oh, I don't believe in fairy tales anymore." It was like you could see on her face. It hurt her to say those words.
Yes.
It was so obvious. She couldn't even look at her mom in the eye. She looked away to say it because she couldn't. It was so hard for her to say that because she knew she didn't really believe that, but she was trying to say it to her mom to get her mom to stop seeing Henry so she could save him. And it's just poor little 8-year-old. That's a lot on her shoulders.
To make that sacrifice to say, no, mom and dad, I want you together. No, I don't want you together.
I know. That's so hard. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I thought it was, I agree with Monica. I thought she did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah.
So, okay, so moving on. Weaver and Rogers continue to argue about how much to trust Eloise. Rogers says all she's asking for is his favorite painting. Weaver tells him he doesn't understand how much is at stake. While in the realms, Nook's quest brings him to an old familiar haunt where he finds Smee as well as the captain he's searching for, Ahab, who's in possession of Maui's fishhook. Nook challenges him to a game of dice. The stakes, the fishhook for the Jelly Roger. Ahab taunts him that he's gone soft as Nook ventures off to make good on his deal. Back at Belfry Towers, Ivory goes through her mom's things when Henry shows up. She's called him because she says everyone else hates her. She tries to kiss him, but he pulls back. He tells her she's just lost. He knows what that feels like. Maybe she should reach out to the family she has left. Meanwhile, Tilly comes to the precinct with some dire warnings about Eloise. She tells Rogers that Eloise will use the painting to hurt her. Weaver says he believes her, but she has to let them do their job. Tilly reluctantly agrees as Eloise seems to smirk knowingly from the security camera. All right. I love that little last scene with Eloise like smirking and waving at the camera at Tilly, and her just being like, "What? What? You? What?"
Is no one else seeing this?
Right. A few other things I wanted to say. When they, they kept mentioning other captain. I even in the promos they didn't mention who it was going to be. When I saw the peg leg, for some reason, my mind went straight to Long John Silver, and I thought it was going to be like Treasure Island captain. I really didn't think they would go with Ahab, and I really like. On one hand, I can understand why they went with Ahab, with the whole white whale thing, and not giving up a pursuit, even at the cost of your, even at your own destruction. So I definitely understand why they brought him in as far as that is concerned. But other than that, I really don't understand how he makes sense to the story. And I really don't feel like they brought any other elements from the book to the story, to the show. Not to say that there were too many other elements to bring. I mean, it's Moby Dick, I mean, even they didn't even name whoever was, his right hand man. I mean, you would guess it's Ishmael, but
or Mute.
Yeah, they don't even name him, so who's to say at that point? But I just kind of feel like it was a little underutilized and maybe misutilized. Like I said, I kind of feel like they forced him in because of the whole pursuit of the white whale thing. But other than that, I just didn't feel like it fit into the story.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe if they would have brought back Blackbeard, I would have been fine.
But Long John Silver is more of like a Disney character, more or less what the show is about and whatnot. And then Maui's fish hook, like I don't quite understand like why we went there. Okay, it's a nod to Moana, obviously. Apparently, I've never seen the movie, but and I tried to go back and read up about Maui and this fish hook and everything. Because in the show they really don't say too much about it. In fact, they don't even really say like how it's going to be utilized to do whatever Hook needs it to do or whatever Rumple needs it to do. It's just kind of it's like the definition of a MacGuffin at this point. But anyway, that's my long-winded points for this set of scenes. Did anyone have anything to touch upon about what I said or have anything to add? Elizabeth, do you have anything?
Yeah. The throwing of the dice scene, the moment I saw that, well, I thought two different things. I thought one, bad CGI. And I also, for me, the whole dice game was a callback to the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but
it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, in this, I'm pretty sure it's the second movie, but in that movie, Orlando Bloom's character Will challenges the captain of whatever ship he's on, because I don't remember right now. But he basically challenges him to a dice game, same game, in order to save his father. So it's the exact same dice game. It's just you're rolling for a chance. They better explain how the game works in the movie versus in the show last night, or 2 nights ago. But
I thought they were playing Yahtzee.
No, that wasn't Yahtzee. Yahtzee involves you got all kinds of. Yahtzee's way more detailed.
Yahtzee!
Oh my god.
That would have been cool if like Smee from like the back corner was just like Yahtzee.
Oh, also speaking of Smee, I thought it was really funny. Like he was such an eager beaver. The moment that Hook walks in, he's like, "Do you want your shit back? You can have it." Like it was so funny.
Yeah, it was really cool to see Smee again.
Yeah, the Flying Dutchman is the name of the show.
Flying Dutchman, thank you.
And I do he had like another nod. I feel like there's like another almost nod to Back to the Future here with this whole kind of side story, or I guess main story really, of like between like Ahab and Nook at this point, because like Nook had had what he needed. He was just about to go off, and then it was like that scene in Back to the Future where it's like what challenge McFly to a race. He's like, "What's the matter, McFly? Chicken?" And that's more or less what right, yeah, and that's more or less what Ahab was doing here with Nook. It's like oh, you're an old pirate. You've lost your ways. You've gone soft. And it's like, oh, I'll show you've gone soft. And Anyway, Tony, did you have anything to add that hasn't been said yet?
Well, I think that we all liked the little nod to Moana, of course. I thought it was great because finally we don't get a just because it's popular and it's new addition to Disney. Finally, we get just an item from the movie or how it came about. Finally we get an item and not a character that just comes out of nowhere just because it's new and it's popular. I like that. I thought it was very cool. And also, about how Maui's hook works, that is so not how it works. It does not open up any prison or anything like that. At least that's what he has always said.
Even in the show, they didn't really nail down, like, okay, like at one point, like, okay, in any prison. Then I'm sorry, Hook or Nook said to Alice, like, oh, I'm about to, I've got this thing and I'm gonna tear this tower down piece by piece, as implying that it was going to destroy the tower. When I tried to like read up on it, it seemed to be that it was like something that could pretty much catch anything. It almost like in the Wikipedia entry that I was reading, it almost seemed like it was just a catch-all. Like at one point he was using it to catch something out of the sky. At one point he was using it to lift the sky or to bring down the sky. Or
it was just a magical fish hook that mostly helped him create some of the things when in his song when he said "You're welcome," for the sun.
It named all the things that,
blah, blah, blah. And then also he's able to turn into different animals. That's it.
Yeah, and apparently he used the hook. Like he tricked his brothers to take him on a boat ride, and in doing so, dragged the hook behind him and created the Hawaiian Islands. That was some of the stuff I was reading. And all this stuff I was reading, I was like, so where in this is anything about I was like, okay, maybe possibly he can fish Rumpel out of the prison. And then at one point I was thinking like that one part that Monica was pointing out about like when he was acting all like, ooh, magic. I was thinking maybe he was going to drain the magic from the fish hook and then he would have magic again. But again, it was just never really made clear during the episode as far as what was going on with that.
I don't think it would have been enough though. I mean, for Rumpel being who he is, a very powerful wizard, so he's been proclaimed throughout the show's years, to be the most powerful being in the realm. I don't think it would have been enough. Like, I think maybe he would have used it like as a tether to break through, the cage itself, like using the hook as a tether, to his powers, maybe.
No, I hear you. I don't know. Like I said, I just wish they'd made it a little more clear as to what was going on with that. And Monica, did you have anything to add before we moved on?
Just loved seeing the hook, and had to shake my head with the speed at which the sidekick pulled the hook out of the bag. Like, yeah, see, don't do that.
Yeah, it was definitely coincidental. Oh, looks like you won here. Let me just give you the hook, like I'm supposed to do. Extra pull out here.
Like before Nook even challenged him to the dice game. It was, I heard you have it, and the guy's like,
Well, yes, it's right here. It's right here. Look, see, extra take Hook out of bag.
Oh, yep.
All right. So Nook brings the hook to Rumple when Ahab shows up. He tailed Nook to prove he was right about him. Now that he challenges him to a public duel so everyone can see him for the coward he is. At the precinct, Rogers shows Eloise the painting and demands answers. After some cryptic responses and a little opening up from Rogers, Eloise says that the baker and the doctor were both given boxes of chocolates before they died. They just need to see who else had delivery. Ivy pays Jacinda a visit to drop off some stuff from Victoria's. They have a heart-to-heart about mother-daughter stuff, and Ivy's walls start to calm down. She tells Jacinda she knows what she has to do and runs off. In the realms, it's pistols at dawn for Ahab and Nook. Nook wins the battle but realizes he made a mistake, and he rushes off to be with Alice. Weaver and Rogers find the next chocolate delivery, but the recipient has been dead for some time. They realize they've been led astray and run to check on the baker. When they arrive at the hospital, they find a confused Tilly over the body of the baker. She tells them she tried to warn them before making a badass parkour escape out the window. Okay. So yeah, badass parkour skills for Alice there. Didn't see that coming. And it did. I don't think Rumple and Hook did, or Weaver and Rogers did either. They both kind of just like sat there with their jaws open, staring out the window. Like, did she just do that?
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Yeah,
badass.
Gotta give it to her for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I really don't know if I have too much more to add about this set of scenes, to be honest with you. Elizabeth, do you have anything to add before we move on?
I feel more like I have a question, and
Go
that
ahead.
question is, I'm trying to understand Weaver or Rumple's relationship with Tilly/Alice, because
Okay.
I know that they first met when he entered through that portal and he ran into her, but
Right.
we have not seen how their relationship is developed. And for me, sometimes it seems like he is like a father figure to her, the way he talks to her, the way he cares for her.
Mhm.
That's what it seems like to me. And I'm just wondering how he came to care about her as deeply as he does. Because we've seen it in some episodes where he clearly cares about her. But I just don't understand how, because the person that Rumple is, he's not used to or wanting to let people in, let people get close to him. I mean, Belle and maybe his children are like, there's not a lot of people he lets into his like little circle, you know? So it's like, I just wonder if we'll ever maybe see how that relationship develops.
Circle goes. I feel like that probably opened up a bit when the years he spent with Belle. But I also think that more than likely there was a bit of a fatherly figure, being that Hook was, absent, until, recently. Maybe she needed somewhat of a father figure in her life, and Rumple filled that hole, that void,
But again, why would he take it upon himself? I mean, Hook is his enemy, always has been, and for him to take on his daughter, it's a little odd. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Well,
it's a little odd.
It was heavily implied that she would be or is or was or whatever the guardian.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, as I doubt I doubt that will even ever come up again, to be honest with you, at this point. I think that's been more or less swept under the rug.
Time. I mean,
yeah, but with this being at the end, I feel like, I mean, I can't even remember the last time that was mentioned. I think maybe somewhere around the time they came back, and maybe something with Anastasia or something, where they speculated maybe that Anastasia would be the guardian. But I think at this point there's no Like I don't know. I could be wrong.
I feel like it's going to be a key. You know, it may have been you know, mentioned that he's looking for the Guardian to take over ownership of the Dark One, because they can't just leave out the story and say, okay, well, and Rumpelstiltskin forever held on to the dagger.
That's how Quantum Leaps ended.
Oh, don't you? That.
Am I wrong? Anyway.
It did, and I hated it.
Wait, what just happened? I'm confused.
Quantum Leap.
Back in the 90s.
I don't know that.
It was a show about a guy who traveled, like was able to leap within anyone within his own time. He had a sidekick who appeared in the form of a hologram that only he could see and hear, and so he leapt from life to life, facing to put life what once went wrong, or right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap would be the leap home.
Sounds like an interesting show, to be honest.
It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good show. And then like it ended after 5 or 6 years with like quite literally, they didn't know if the show was going to end or not. And so like the show ended with like him saving his best friend, was like his hologram friend was like a POW. And they spoiler alert, I guess, if you're ever going to watch this show, sorry. And so they like he leaps to that moment, and like, you know, just when his wife is it's like from this earlier episode where his wife was dancing with the hologram but didn't know it, and he tells like the guy, you know, tells the girl, you know, your husband's alive, you know, like, you know, he had been a POW for like 10 years, and like she had divorced him because like she thought he was dead, and like so she waits for him, and you know, like that's the end of the episode. You know, like you don't know if, you know, at that point he probably never went into the Navy and never went into the program, the quantum leap program, and all this other stuff. So like it just ends there in this blue flash of him leaping, and it just says, you know, that, you know, what happened. It just says like this like long thing of like Al went on and did this, and the Quantum Leap project went on and did this, and then it said Sam never returned home. And that was
so it didn't really give you a good finale
at all. It was like that was it obviously was ending on a cliffhanger that was going to bring the show to like a whole nother level. But, you know, like, you know, because like all of a sudden he could control where he was leaping and all this other stuff, and then like after that it was just like,
yeah. Scott Bakula,
I still believe it though.
Found out that the show was canceled after that episode aired, and a friend of his called him up to offer condolences, and he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
And that's how he found out.
That's a bad way to find out. Bobby, silence your phone.
I am. Reboot Quantum Leap.
Yes.
We still do have enough time for them to.
We could have like one of like Sam had this thing where he had like a woman that he had met in the time stream and whatnot. So we could have like a distant relative of his from the time stream trying to find him in the time stream, and so you know that's how the reboot happens. Anyway, like I don't have a whole like backlog of stories for scripts and
I mean, a lot of 90s shows are being rebooted.
I know, that's what I say.
Particularly the 90s over any other generation. I don't know why.
For this being such, I thought this was a good episode, and for being such a good episode, we're going off on quite a few tangents tonight, guys.
Yes.
It's a tangent night. This episode,
but still, it all comes back.
It's a tangent.
Yeah.
It still comes about, and it still comes back to once eventually. But
all right. But where were we though? Seriously, is there
the Guardian never being mentioned ever again? I really still think that there's enough time. There's a month to mention how
hopefully, especially if they're going to close out Rumpel story. Yeah, so I guess they would kind of almost have to bring that back in. So we'll see if that happens. Yeah, we'll see. Tony, did you said you believe you had something to mention about Ahab?
Yeah, I don't like him. I mean, I guess still from the fact that when they brought him in as to who he is and things like that to the story, I don't like him. I thought he was a joke of a pirate. I didn't think he was a threat to Nook at all. Like, if you really, really, really wanted to threaten Nook, I don't know, both. If you really wanted to threaten them both, bring back Blackbeard, because at least his story makes sense.
Yeah.
At least it makes sense. And as for the chocolate, that Gothel pointed out specifically, that was too specific. Saying, "Well, oh hey, I remember they each victim had a box of chocolate brought to them." Question: how did you know that? How did you know?
Yeah, everything about that. Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm like, okay, but I'm leaving it at that. It's like, how do you know specifically what was left? Either you're a part of the problem, or you are.
Yeah, and like, why? How does Rogers justify why am I bringing you this painting? And why are you giving me crap about my past and what I think of everything about that whole thing was just no.
Right. And it seems like she was trying to wake him up, because it's like, well, so
yes. Mm-hmm.
So touch this. What, touch this. What do you think it's important to you? It's like, okay, trying to wake him up, because
he was obviously trying to wake him up. I don't know why, but she was obviously trying to wake him up.
Right, which, I mean, we are this far into the season itself, and it's kind of making me think, okay, wait, so you want him awake or you don't want him awake? You want her awake? Not awake. I don't know. But yeah, it's like you were too specific about the chocolate and how it was left, where it was left. You are too specific. You are just outing yourself as, yes, I'm the person who's orchestrating all these deaths. And it's kind of weird because she disappeared. If you notice, she did not, there was no other scene after Tilly went all parkour.
Right.
She disappeared, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a death.
Well, I'm sure that they're trying to lead us to believe that would be the case, but I'm with Rogers and Weavers where I don't necessarily think that's necessarily true. But Monica, you had something to bring up as well about you had an interesting point to make about Nook being awake.
So if Nook does wake, or when he wakes, is his heart going to then be repoisoned?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's Gothel's plan just to hurt Nook.
Mm-hmm.
Make him remember that Tilly's his daughter, only to not be able to be around her.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from.
That would just be cruel.
Now, isn't that the same thing that...
Perfect.
That's what happened with Henry and Jacinda, right? Didn't that?
Okay. Yeah, I was just actually going to say that, Bobby, because it's almost like I really think they will wake up Henry, probably for a brief moment, and he'll be in the poison state of mind for dramatic emphasis, because it's a dramatic TV show. I really think we will see Henry starting to die, which is going to freak me out, but then they'll save him, because that's what the show is, and they always save the good people. So I have hope, but I really think it'll play out that way. Basically, kind of like what Monica's saying.
Quick question, just thinking ahead here, because I know I didn't. Did anyone check the ratings this week?
Oh yeah, it was 0.5.
Oh, same as it has been.
Yeah.
Okay. So did it go up?
No, probably stayed at around 2.5, 2.6, same as it's been. With the exception of that 1 week where it was a 4 or something, when it looked like it was gonna just keep going down. I had fear that it was gonna be a 3.0 at some point, but
it hasn't gotten there.
Yeah, hasn't gotten there yet. We've still got a few more episodes to go.
9.
I needed to go all the way through. I wanted to make it all the way through. Now I'd be like, okay, yay, 3 episodes left.
No, yeah, right.
I'll be grabbing that Kleenex on the series finale. I know it. Just thinking about it makes me tear up.
Okay, but we're not there. Shh. We're not there yet.
Okay.
All right. So Nook returns to the tower to free Alice, and as they step near each other, Nook is forced across the room. Gothel appears and tell him his pride did this. She poisoned the bullet that Ahab used in the duel. Even though he was only nicked, his heart has been poisoned, and he can no longer be with the one he loves, his daughter. Back in our realm, Weaver and Rogers go to Tilly's and find even more clues that suggest that she's the killer, but they refuse to believe it. Weaver will go to see what he can do from the station, while Rogers searches for Tilly. Elsewhere, Henry answers the door to find Ivy with offerings of thank you mochi, but that's not the only reason she came. She asks Henry to help in finding Anastasia. While at Ronnie's, Lucy drops by to ask for help with the curse, but this time she for Operation Hyacinth. Walkie-talkies and all. Just don't call her grandma.
I love that line.
All right, so first of all, what's
what?
What's what?
Mochi? What is mochi?
I looked it up.
Okay.
And I think they were saying that it's some type of I know rice is in it.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Some sort of like rice cake or pudding cake or something.
Sounds like sushi to me. I don't know.
No, it's not.
No?
It's almost like a dessert from what I saw. It's a dessert, right?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
But keep going. I'll figure it out.
All right, but no one who's had it before or anything. Then.
No.
Okay, just curious.
Oh yeah, ice cream. I actually, you know what? I think I have actually had this. Actually, yes, I have. It is some type of ice cream. It is a Japanese rice cake made of mochi gome or short grain Japonica glutinous rice. Sorry.
Got it.
Right, just rice. Got it. Good.
Yeah, we're good. Rice.
The rice is pounded into a paste and molded into the desired shape.
I always love when my food is pounded.
Oh my god!
I wasn't saying it like that. Jesus, people.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! I told you at the beginning of this that I'm loopy.
Yeah. You love it when your food is pounded. You know.
You guys should see the comment I posted in our group chat.
Yeah, I saw the Jesus.
God.
Like I said, I told you guys I was loopy at the beginning of this thing. Anyway. So yeah, so we know what mochi is now. Pounded rice stuff. No, other than that, I'm glad that Regina has finally said something about a kid being in the bar in the afternoon.
Because I'm getting sick and tired.
It wasn't even afternoon.
I am sick and tired of Lucy being able to just walk where she wants to walk.
Right?
That was like her father when he was younger.
How was it? She said, yeah, but even Henry didn't walk into a bar.
They didn't have a bar. They had grannies.
Right, there was
True.
no bar.
No, they didn't have a bar. The rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I remember
there you go. Yeah, where what was Belle's?
Let's start with an L.
Lacey.
Lacey. That was it. Lacey. Yes.
Lacey likes to drink.
I want to go.
That was cool.
That episode and watch that. I think I will.
Yeah. All right. So Elizabeth, what did you have to add about this set of scenes?
Honestly, I was kind of thinking to myself as you were talking about the scenes, and it's a little inappropriate, but not entirely. I like to make myself laugh. Anyways.
Okay.
So I was kind of thinking to myself, we've had a whole season of 2 hooks, right? And it just occurred to me, why have I not been fantasizing about 2 hooks all this time?
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I'm just like, sweet dreams are made of these. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Oh my god. This episode.
I'm hyper. Sorry.
You're good. You're totally good.
The audience.
Yeah, so moving on. Tony, what did you have to add?
Before I say my other point, just don't call me grandma in Operation Hyacinth. I love it. It was awesome. It was great. I love it when she was like, "Just don't call me grandma," and I'm like, "Well, hey, at least when Henry said, Grandpa, yeah, kid, I guess so," and Snow was laughing and everything like that. So I guess if that would have come up again, I think everybody would have probably had a little chuckle out of it. But with Ivy going back to Henry's and saying and giving him the mochi, and then saying about how I want to save my other sister. You have another sister? Question mark? Yeah, Anastasia. And I'm thinking either she is planning something, either to get her magic back, because like I said, like last week, maybe, just maybe, when she had when Gothel had Anastasia touch the pendant, think of it like Juice. She took the hat, she took off Ivy's powers, so maybe she can try and get her powers back. I don't know. Wild theory. I love my theories, but I'm thinking that this is also how it's gonna go back into the fact that that Anastasia is the key to the, not just about what's going on right now, but also being the guardian and things like that. So
I don't know.
Come back into play.
Where is Anastasia? We haven't even seen her in like 2 episodes.
I was thinking the same thing.
She's hiding out in a shack where, well, not in a shack necessarily, Gothel's apartment, because we haven't seen her since Gothel's apartment.
No, we haven't.
And I feel like Tilly may be the guardian still.
Really? I mean,
yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Tilly may be the guardian. With her being so close to Rumpel. Mm-hmm. With there being that connection there and everything, mm-hmm. I feel like eventually Tilly is going to be the one that, if that's how we end, Rumpel's story on this show, I think that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I forget. What does the Guardian take away the Dark One entirely, or does she absorb the powers?
I don't think they were ever actually totally 100% clear on what exactly would happen with the Dark One and the Guardian, because I think it was also a prophecy anyway, which and prophecies are never meant to be totally 100% clear anyway.
I think what they did state was that it was supposed to be the person who is able to for the present Dark One to contact the Guardian and to have the powers be shifted from the present Dark One to the Guardian, and that person's supposed to guard the Dark One's powers forever, I'm guessing.
I just doesn't seem like that's Tilly though, because she's an oddball at best, and they keep mentioning that the way she sees the world is special. Mm-hmm. And I still don't fully understand how she sees the world. Because, I mean, if it was 100 years ago, that girl would be locked up in a loony bin. Mm-hmm. Because that was the time. That was the time then. But now it's like, I get what they're trying. No, actually, I don't get what they're trying to say with how she sees the world.
She can see through the veil. She can see the magic.
Because I don't understand, if she's a guardian, how is she going to guard these dark powers when she can't even guard her own mind?
And then she was
It sounds like that. She doesn't have magic.
She was having dreams of like the prophecy dream that she had more or less in the beginning of the episode. And then the reason her mind is clouded now is because even though they put the curse on everyone, she's the one person who couldn't take the curse. Mm-hmm. Like she knows something.
She's able to wake up every once in a while. That's what
because she has something that allows her to see, like I said, through that veil.
Okay. I guess I just wasn't understanding that before.
I feel like she's able to wake up every once in a while, and then to shut her up, they had to give her pills to cloud her mind again.
Well, that's what. That's where we're at now.
I don't think she's
but I don't know. I feel like if she, I don't know. At this point, she definitely isn't taking them. If she was before, she definitely isn't now.
Yeah. It was always Belfry trying to say, trying to shove those pills down her throat. And now that she's gone.
Well, good point, Tony. Good point. Okay, and then Monica, did you have anything to add as far as the closing acts here? No?
No.
All right, and so as far as conversation, I think that about does it for this week's episode of what was it? The Knightfall. All right, so okay, so that being said, we'll move on to our arbitrary scale. Move on down to the end here.
Yay.
We're out of 350 gunshot to Ahab's stomach. They said he survived, so I don't know. I mean, 350 gunshots to just the stomach. I think you might be cut in half at that point. But
oh my goodness.
Anyway, so out of that, Elizabeth, we'll start with you, Elizabeth. What do you give this week's episode?
Oh, I don't even know. Come back to me.
Okay, Monica, what do you give this week's episode?
298.
Okay, so B, we'll say.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah. What did you dislike about the episode? What were your problems?
Overall, I liked it. It wasn't one that made me super excited.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's always room for improvement. So, but it was a solid episode. I liked it.
What an improvement! It's getting rid of
and Tony, Tony, what did you have to add?
I give it a 300 gunshot to Ahab's stomach.
So you're right there with Monica.
I enjoyed it.
Anything that
I enjoyed it. That I didn't like. Well, at first I enjoyed it, but it took me until probably like the last half of it to enjoy it, because at first I was confused at what this episode was about, and then I finally figured it out. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I enjoyed it. Cool, great." Nobody died. Great.
Elizabeth, even the villain didn't die, or so quote unquote villain or whatnot. Well, I guess the baker died.
Yep, the baker died. Mm-hmm.
Poor creepy baker.
Blind Witch 2.0. So
the Hansel and Gretel witch. And
sorry to cut you off.
You're fine. Elizabeth, what did you want to give the episode?
Basically, I'm going to cut 350 in half and say 175.
Oh, wow. I did not expect that at all. So you weren't a fan of the episode, it sounds like.
It just didn't do much for me. I know it was a Hook-centric episode, which at the beginning I thought I would really enjoy, but to me it was really boring for the most part. Everything, honestly, most of Hook's scenes I really didn't like. I liked Rumple's, as the dark one scenes. Those were more entertaining than anything else that Hook was doing in this episode. And you guys know how much I love Hook, so that's not exactly easy for me to say.
But he was very surprised, honestly.
I didn't like how he treated Tilly this episode. I really didn't.
How he what? I'm sorry.
I don't like how he treated Tilly this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was frustrated more than anything to get this case solved.
That was definitely on purpose. As far as the like Tony was just saying, it was frustration. It was she came to him with this game to show that he to like kind of like she thought something was wrong, and so she was trying to like stop him from doing whatever he was doing by playing this game, and but he wouldn't stop what he was doing because Eloise is his white whale, and so that's that's why
I've got a crocodile and a whale now. My goodness.
So again, how the show tends to overlap between what's happening in the past and what's happening now. So that's where I see it, is that he was acting like that. He was rejecting Tilly because that's what he. Even though I wouldn't call it rejecting, but and that was actually a point I meant to add but didn't bring up, is that it seems like Gothel almost uses parents rejection, or not necessarily even rejection, but control as a way in, like you had Zelina trying, but it's not even faults though. It's just Zelina being just a tad too controlling as to what Robin can and can't do with magic. I had other points, but you understand what I'm saying though, that like she like, and so I wonder if we're gonna get any kind of backstory with Gothel as to try to give her any kind of justification as to did something like this similar to happen to her in the past and whatnot. How they've had to how they tried to do with Rumple and his daddy issues and Regina and mommy issues.
It's not tangent. No, it's not tangent at all.
Yeah, this isn't tangent.
It feels like a tangent only because we were doing the arbitrary scale, and it just like
Elizabeth, I'll rebuke your tangent comments. I rebuke it.
No.
Your tangent comments.
I appreciate seriously though. I appreciate Elizabeth keeping us on track because I didn't want to go run too late, but at the same time, that was a point that I had meant to bring up earlier that I just forgot to put in my notes. So,
rambling is different than tangent.
Yes, I definitely was rambling. I will fess to rambling, but that was certainly not a tangent. Roundabouts and cul-de-sacs and whatnot. Like we were talking about before, those are tangents. But anyway, so back to my those are on point usually too. Damn it.
Buffy is always a tangent.
All right, let's get back on track here, and I'll mention my arbitrary scale out of 350. I'm going to go ahead and be right around where you guys are. I'll say 310, though. Be a little higher. I really did like this episode. I like the Nook-centric. I was appreciated being, getting a little more backstory between Alice and Hook. I'm always a sucker for like father-daughter, father-son stories. So I don't know, a little bias maybe there as far as that's concerned. But for the most part, with the exception of the few things we brought up during conversation, I feel like they did a pretty good job of, unfortunately, like I said, of setting things up where things may go, while unfortunately we know that this is, not going to be going on much longer. So for all those reasons, I'm going to go 310 out of 350. So yeah, as far as news goes, news. There we go. That worked out pretty well. So yeah, there's been a whole lot of casting as far as casting news. A whole lot of other familiar faces coming back. We know Jared Gilmore is coming back. I don't know if you guys follow Lana Parrilla on
Brandy's coming back.
Right. I don't know if you guys follow Lana Parrilla on Twitter or not, but she put up a post of just a picture of her and of Jared, just kind of like a selfie of the two of them together. It was kind of cool.
Robin Hood is coming back. Cruella DeVille is coming back, which I don't understand the point of that when she's dead. What's the point of her?
I hadn't seen that.
Yes.
I think I saw Maleficent is coming back.
Is Maleficent coming back?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
I don't. You know what? I know for certain. It is definitely Jared. Is definitely Granny. It's definitely
Sean
Cruella.
McGuire.
Sean McGuire and Cruella, and then I think Grumpy as well.
Yes.
With Sean, great. I'm glad that's the one that they had to bring back. But as far as Sean McGuire goes, do you think that that's to give like Regina her happy ending?
I think to put closure. I think to put closure.
Thank you.
Show.
I know.
Sorry, I'm Captain Obvious.
They will write some way. I don't know. They'll figure out.
It makes sense. I'm sorry to do this, but I am so sick and tired of people saying, "Bring back Robin." It's like he's dead dog.
Yeah, and they did, and in that scene, they did everything to be like, no, he's
not coming back.
Yeah,
stop it.
Yeah.
It's like
disintegrated.
Yeah, burn the ground and salt the earth. He's not coming back.
And then you know what? I want to so bad. I want to grab that scene where they were doing the gag reel where Snow was like, "He's dead," and write in the caption, "He's dead. Stop it."
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Now, end of my tangent.
All right. So, unless anyone else has anything to add, I think that's going to bring us to a close for this week's episode of Greetings from Storybrooke.
Bring back Wonderland. Sign a petition.
Reboot Quantum Leap. Let's bring back all the tangents we talked about before. No roundabouts. I'm tired of roundabouts. Anyone else? Traffic circles. Hashtag no traffic circles.
Hashtag no traffic circle. No.
Oh wait, Monica's got something to add. What?
Maleficent was just my wishful thinking brain.
Okay.
Ariel, Peter Pan,
yes,
Blueberry, and Geppetto.
Yes.
Were the ones we missed.
All of those.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Yeah, thumbs up on all those. I'm glad to see you. Some that I would like to definitely see come back that I haven't heard yet would be Blue Fairy.
I think she is. I thought I heard she was.
She
Fairy,
is.
yeah.
I follow her on
I
Twitter.
haven't read everything.
I follow her on Twitter, and she is definitely excited to come back.
I want Emma. Darn it.
Emma?
Well,
Emma's probably not coming back.
Geppetto, then why not Pinocchio?
Yes, give me August.
And they've said that they are trying. Yeah, I think even Jennifer Morrison has said that she's trying to work out.
She's definitely trying to work out. Look, you know what?
If we get anything from Emma, it'll be like a scene.
Yeah, a scene.
I don't care. And that scene should be her meeting her granddaughter Lucy. That's all I want to see. And plus her baby.
Well, I feel like
that's asking for too much. That's asking for too much.
I feel like that's mostly
one or the
what
other.
we're going to get.
You get one or the other. You can see her rocking her baby.
This show's about hope, Tony, and I am hopeful.
All right.
Guess what? You can only get one or the other.
You're not right on
the montage.
We already had. We already had that, Monica. We already had that.
And now we've gone on to the fabled rambling tangent.
Yes, we have. Let it happen. It had to happen. We held it in for the whole episode. Let it happen.
So if you want to email us and get in on the conversation, you can join us at greetingsfromstorybrooke@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GFStorybrooke. Facebook is facebook.com/greetingsfromstorybrooke. And of course, the voicemail, as always, is 424-274-2352. If that's even live anymore, 424-274-2352. But anyway, like I said, if you want to hit us up, you can always find us at any of those places. As far as personally, Elizabeth, where can we find you? Should you wish to be found, Elizabeth, where would you want your Twitter and such?
What's the point?
Okay.
Tony has taken away my hope.
Okay, she says defeatedly. Tony, should you wish to be found, where could you be found?
Don't find me. I'll find you.
Oh, wow. You sound like Eloise there.
But you can find me on the Twitter at Hoops900. That's HOOPS 900.
Monica, how about you?
I'm on Twitter at Monica Sedai. That's SEDAI, and no space or underscore or nothing. So.
And of course, Elizabeth, did you want to chime in, or no? Am I just moving on?
Yeah, move on.
Okay. And then, of course, you can always find me here each week hosting this until the bitter end, or at Inevitable Hawk on Twitter, and Facebook.com/Bobby Hawk. I guess I think there are other Bobby Hawks out there. I think one with a youth pastor. But anyway,
let's inevitably crush Liz's hope.
But anyway, that being said, let's end this tangent now, and that does it for this week's episode of. Wait, how do we end this again? Until next time, guys.
Wait. Let's try to count down. Like, I'll go 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that'll help. Maybe we'll all say it at the same time. Okay, ready?
All right.
1,
All right.
2, 3.
Greetings from Storybrooke.
That helped
was-
a little bit.
Just a little bit. Greetings from Hyperion Heights, you guys. Yay. Hey. Yay.
And stop.